Today's episode is sponsored by Castrol. Visit them at castrol.com.
Hello and welcome to Advanced Manufacturing Now, the podcast for manufacturing professionals. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to get new episodes delivered to your inbox each week. I'm your host, Carrie Gitter, Associate Editor at SME Media. Today we're talking with Dr. Cassandra Hyam, Global Industrial Marketing Director at Castrol, diving into intelligent lubrication and the transformation of maintenance from reactive to predictive. We'll also touch on Castrol's newest innovation that's setting a benchmark in coolant management. So, Cassandra, thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to the show.
Brilliant, and great to meet you as well, Carrie.
Thank you. So, Cassandra, firstly, let's set the stage. Traditional oil monitoring has been around for decades. Why is change needed now?
So the main answer to that one is time. And if you think about our traditional oil monitoring, it's not about the quality. The quality is fantastic. We're able to analyze samples, we're able to understand what's going on, but it's all about what's happened in the past. I think that's the really important point to note here. We have to be evolving and looking to the future, making sure that, we're changing with the times as well. We need to be able to move from having samples that are taken in the moment so we can make decisions on things that are happening right now, so we can reduce that failure development period, taking action on an issue that may have arisen or being able to look to the future. And the traditional sampling doesn't allow us to do that. At best, it's a couple of weeks out of date, So I think being able to move to that future position of having data in the moment, making decisions, I think is where we need to be able to get to.
Great. Thank you. And the transformation of maintenance from reactive to predictive, why is that important? And how can manufacturers do that?
So I think, again, it kind of, as I was saying to the previous question, so it's really allowing our customers to understand in the moment what's actually happening at that point in time. And then, being able to turn that into actionable insights and make decisions. So I think the key for me is around combining the advanced lubricants, our expert services, and smart technologies, and really transforming it into an intelligent system that all works together to start to anticipate issues before they occur. So from a Castrol perspective, we look at intelligent lubricant solutions that take the combination of sensors, being able to deliver readings on a really regular basis, and really then start to combine this data with expert interpretation and shift towards that future of actionable insights and, potentially analyzing trends as well for the future. So it's not just around in the moment, but it's also looking to that future, understanding how that equipment is working and, being able to make those predictive points around how you might want to make changes to improve your performance.
So that expert interpretation gets us into the human part of the equation. We often hear about technology when it comes to these issues, but you're emphasizing the human side as well. And why is that human expertise still critical, especially in this, digital and automated age that we're in now?
Yeah, and it's a really, really good question. What I would say is data on its own can't really solve anything. I don't know whether you have experience of just looking at sheets and sheets of data or information that's shared to you without any context. So the benefit of having that human side, of having the expert technologists, having the people that really truly understand the lubricants and the equipment that they're working on in combination with the data means that you're getting the information in context, which then allows you to be able to make those right decisions at the right time. And it's also important around at the very start when we're setting up the equipment, when we're looking at which are the right smart solutions to be offering, to have the right parameters set up in there, making sure that we've got the right failure mode set up so we can actually understand when alerts need to go off, when we need to be able to taking action, so we can give that advice to our customers.
So from your perspective, then the future isn't just digital as we often hear, it's digital combined with human expertise.
I think it has to be. Predictive intelligence is only powerful when it's combined and paired with expert knowledge. That's my personal view. And I think that's just what we see play out as well, where you have a really trusted partner that can work with customers to understand in combination the performance of the equipment, the different parameters and different operational sort of points that the customer needs to be able to get to, and understanding the data that's then coming through around the performance. That's where I think that real sweet spot in terms of decision making can come out. So you get clear contextual advice, not just an alarm that goes off without you understanding where and why.
So in terms of predictive maintenance, can you share some real world examples with us of where that's made a measurable difference for our customers?
Yeah, absolutely. I think from the Castrol Intelligent Lubricant Solutions, I think we've seen a number of different case studies where, really, really clear benefits. So a good example is a US steel manufacturer, and they managed to achieve a return on investment in just 1.5 months. So they saved over $100,000 by detecting water ingress early. So that then saved, obviously, that specific customer going through all of the point of failure and then getting to a place where having to do a huge amount of maintenance, but understanding really early that there was water ingress happening, you could then prevent the issue, put a prevention in place and be able to move forward. And actually this case study has now been replicated 10 times over. So just imagine the savings coming from that. We have another customer who's managed to avoid 3 full oil changes in a year. And that isn't just the cost of the oil that they've been saving, but it's the waste as well that's coming out the other end. And what do you do with that waste? How do you manage that waste? And the time it takes to do that oil change. So from a people resource perspective as well. So hopefully those 2 examples give you a little bit of a flavor of the business case.
So it sounds like the benefits are very varied then as well, from cost to waste to human resources in addition. So that's a very robust effect then. And which industries would you say stand to gain the most from adopting this kind of real-time monitoring?
I would say any customer that is interested in being able to make decisions and use that data and combination of technical expertise to be able to enhance the performance of their equipment is going to benefit. But, in all honesty, looking at those that are really asset heavy, massively high spec sectors where quality and uptime are non-negotiable, they're the ones that are really going to benefit and potentially get the fastest return on investment. So heavy industries like steel, automotive, aerospace, power generation, and specifically if we look at automotive, component quality, precision, cost, absolutely critical. So being able to detect issues before they occur, absolutely fundamental to them. And also within that aerospace sector, the ability to automate coolant parameters is also a really, really key one. So there's multiple different areas that we can start to look to shift to that predictive maintenance range.
Great. And so oil tends to get the most attention in manufacturing, but coolant, of course, plays a huge role as well. And can you talk a bit about the challenges and innovations that you're seeing in that area when it comes to coolant?
Yeah, coolant's a really interesting one. So obviously within the particularly within the automotive space, it's so important. We often overlook it, but it does impact a number of different key areas. So tool life is a key one, surface quality, the precision of the different parts that are being made. And if you think about at the moment, those parts are becoming even more high tech, with the shift to kind of EV manufacturing and all of those different component parts, the manufacturing of metal components does have a huge dependency on having the coolant that is being managed in a really, really tight way. So the pH is controlled, temperature is controlled, and that's just 2 examples. And there's even an area around workplace safety, microbial growth, pH imbalance. These are things that, our customers or the operators within the plant have a huge touch point with. It's a lot of fluid, the coolant area. So being able to understand coolant management, I think, is a really, really key one. And traditionally, it has been very manual, a bit like the kind of the other testing area that we've been talking about, but it is a manual and fairly inconsistent way of looking at the monitoring. And that can obviously lead to hidden costs, inefficiencies. And so we actually started looking at different solutions for coolant management. Way back in 2006, there was a solution called System RT. We touched on it again in 2017, but the challenge at that point in time was the market wasn't really demanding enough. It wasn't really creating enough of a pull, and therefore the hardware wasn't evolving fast enough to have that right solution ready to put on the market. But at the moment, and over the last couple of years, we've seen a real shift in cost pressure coming through within our manufacturing base, labor shortages, and in some cases the quality of the labor or the knowledge base from the labor force at the moment. So it's not just about having fewer people, but it's about what those people understand and how they can manage all the different equipment within the plant. So customers are now expecting more from their suppliers, and that's a really important thing for us because we're there supplying the fluids, and coolant's obviously one of the large fluids that we do supply. So we have just recently announced a new program in Europe called Smart Coolant, which does monitor key parameters like pH, temperature, concentration, conductivity. And it's all about making that shift from, the people going around with their clipboards to actually having real-time insights and being able to automate and monitor a really, really important parameter of the manufacturing plant, allowing our manufacturers and our customers to control the concentrate, the coolant super tightly so that they can have more confidence on the quality of the output and therefore reduce their operating costs. So really, really critical area from our perspective within Castrol.
Great. And from the manufacturer's perspective, what's the business case when it comes to coolant management? And can you share any examples of manufacturers who've achieved, tangible benefits from implementing that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think, again, the business case is across a number of different areas. So combining that hardware with the intelligent monitoring platform helps reduce certain areas like overdosing. So if you're not overdosing, then that means you are saving on waste. You're also saving on costs because you're not putting excessive amounts of additional additive into your tank. But by having a greater precision on the performance and the parameters of that coolant bath, it means we can extend the tool life, the machine life, improve the product quality, and also minimize the downtime. So some really good sort of obvious areas from a business case perspective in terms of those value drivers. And in the trials of our Castrol Smart Coolant, what we've been seeing coming through from our companies, our customers, has been significant reduced waste, a great improvement in terms of the consistency and measurable cost savings coming through that condition-based management. So shifting again from that very reactive, calendar-based, let's go and take a sample, see what it's looking like, to moving towards that, having, near real-time constant information around the performance of the coolant bath. We actually found that one manufacturer achieved, up to around 72,000 euros in annual cost savings across 10 machines. And the main drivers for this was around the reduced concentrate, reduced labor costs, and the extended emulsion life and decreasing tooling expenses. So, hopefully, fairly obvious business case.
Yes, absolutely. So zooming out a little bit from specific use cases like that, from your perspective and from Castrol's, what does the future of intelligent lubrication look like today?
I think, if you ask me from kind of my vision for the future and where we are as Castrol, it's customers making data-based decisions. It's combining their technical expertise and the guidance and advice they get from suppliers like Castrol and using that to improve their operational efficiency, but also building confidence in the operations and in the operation of their plant as well. So in a world where, we touched on this before, but a world where the labor costs are going up, and in some cases, some of the expertise of that labor cost are changing. They're looking at different areas and they may not be as high skilled in some areas and as they maybe previously would have been. So having confidence in the operation of the plant allows customers to be able to make choices around, how much they want to staff up a plant, whether they can do, operations over a weekend, maybe with a reduced staff, but it allows that flexibility by having that quality of information coming through in terms of how the equipment is performing, but equally then supporting the customers with their reduced waste and their overall costs. So that for me is kind of the vision of where we need to be getting to and why it's so important. But I'm conscious that, customers can be hesitant about the adoption. There is a cost to install. There is a cost, obviously, to shift to that reactive maintenance place. And I think the challenge is around moving our customers from seeing this as a cost center to really seeing it as a source of competitive advantage. And I think that's the critical bit.
So along those lines, if there were a manufacturer who had heard all this but was still somewhat hesitant about adoption, what would your one message to that manufacturer be to kind of convince them of the efficacy of this?
Yeah, and it's a really good one, and kind of answering that in one statement, not always easy, but I'll do my best. I think it's around obviously the return on investment can be really rapid, as we've seen with that example we shared in the steel industry, but you can also do this transformation one step at a time. It can be a modular approach. You don't have to shift the whole plant over to reactive maintenance predictive maintenance. We don't have to do that all in one go. The key bit, I think, is working with a really trusted partner. It's working with people who are experts in that area and can then support. So Castrol focuses on both the education and confidence building to help support that transformation. So really building the capability of the plant and the workforce to be able to help them understand where those benefits are going to come through and why it's important to make that investment within this area.
Great. So, Cassandra, you've shared quite a bit now about how intelligent lubrication solutions like Castrol's Smart Coolant are helping to redefine asset management for manufacturers and create predictive, efficient, more sustainable operations. Kind of surveying, this terrain and what you've discussed with us, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share or emphasize?
Yeah, and I really appreciate you kind of giving me the platform. So I think it's really exciting time for manufacturers. It's important as we evolve to protecting equipment in slightly different way. We've got to be optimizing our operations and really just creating smarter systems and smarter thinking about how we drive both efficiency and sustainability. So everything we've talked about here helps our customers be able to make smarter decisions based on that combination of high quality data coming through in the moment. It's not historical data coming through. It's in the moment data. Combine that with the technical expertise, which will then lead to being able to make those smarter decisions. It's about moving from reacting to problems to anticipating them. And, that's the transformation that, as a Castrol perspective, we're super excited to be able to bring to customers. We really understand the role that we play in this journey. And hoping that, the new Castrol Smart Coolant device that we're launching in Europe this week, actually, so great timing, will really be able to help drive forward this innovation and, help our customers.
Wonderful. Thank you. And if listeners want to learn more about Castrol and Smart Coolant and any of your solutions, where can they go to get more information?
Yeah, so we have our website, castrol.com, where, you can really start to look at smart coolant or intelligent lubricant solutions. And that's where, on the website, you'll get all of the information that you need. But equally, we do have a LinkedIn site, which is Castrol Industrial Solutions. And again, there's a huge amount of information on there and links that will take you through to our website for people who want to learn more.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much to Dr. Cassandra Hyam at Castrol for joining us today and sharing so much valuable information on intelligent lubrication. It was a pleasure speaking with you, Cassandra.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for the opportunity. It's been great to be able to share where we are with this new offer.
Wonderful. And to our listeners, to keep up with the latest manufacturing trends and to hear more of our podcast, you can subscribe to our podcast feed and, of course, visit us at advancedmanufacturing.org. Thank you for listening.